folks, back at you with another video. Today we're going to be working on this here is a 1984 Dodge Ram D100. We're going to be replacing the oil pump and a two-piece rear main seal. So this applies to anything that has a two-piece rear main seal if you're looking for some information. And this here is a Chrysler. This one here has a Chrysler 360 5.9 liter engine in it. So yeah, let's get started on this, and we'll get you through this step by step. Remember, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. It don't cost nothing. And let's get started. Here we go. All right, first step, drain the oil out of the oil pan. Now we'll get to the next step after that. Next thing would be the removing of the starter. There's a bolt right there, and then there is one right above it. I don't know if I can get my camera shoved up in there, but it's straight above that one. That needs to be removed in order to get to the oil pan bolts. So, all right. Let's get this thing off. That takes 5/8, by the way. Now I'm taking all the oil pan bolts out. That is, I use a 13 mil for that. And hold on. Sorry. Same on this side. It's just a little snugger fit because of the lines that run there, but it's, you know, it's all right. Okay, on to the next step. Okay, next thing we need to do is take this support bracket out. That is a 5/8, and the other end is a 9/16. And then we need to take the cover plate off here. Those bolts are 7/16. So, all right, I'll be right back. So once you get the cover plate off, that's the hole for the starter. And there's a stud sticking out, so you have to pry it out a little bit to get that all jiggled loose. Maybe you have to move some of your lines, push that a little bit. Once you get that loose, ever so gingerly work the oil pan, and just be careful for your pickup tube right there. Just be careful with that, and then you can get your oil pan off. So let me take that thing off, and I'll be right back with you. All right, now we got the oil pan down. Now we can get to the oil pump, which is this thing right here. It's been held on by those two bolts. And then when we do that, we can also replace the rear main seal. So yeah, let's get into that. Let's get this thing going. If you got problems with your pan sliding out, just turn your engine over manually, so these lobes right here from the crank are not going to be in your way. So if these lobes are upwards, like right there, it will make it 10 times easier just to slide the pan out. Some people have to lift the engine up and whatnot. I'm pretty sure that that's how you fix that, because you create a lot more room if you compare this right here to the front. So just turn your engine over by hand there at the harmonic balancer. Make sure that these lobes are upwards of the crank, and you shouldn't have to lift the engine up or anything like that. All right, let's get on to the next phase. All right, I'll be right back. All right, now I gotta for the oil pump, we gotta take these bolts loose right here, and this one right here, 9/16. So let's get those loose, and let's get the oil pump off, and I'll be back with you. There will be oil coming out, so I'm just letting it fall into the oil pan. Just let it dribble out, just give it a minute, and then we can take that last bolt out right there. So, yep, it's already slowing down. So, okay. All right, we got her out. It takes 3/4 inch to take those two bolts out. I just used my impact, and then you grab the hammer. You tap it right here on the side, just gently, and then she'll pop right loose. Just be ready to catch it. It's fairly heavy, not super heavy, but it's got enough weight to it. So just be ready, and then there is the other half of your rear main seal. So that will be the next one to take out and put the new one in. We need to take the old gasket here off and clean all that up. Got to do the same thing on the oil pan. Old gasket off and clean that all up. And then I'll show you how to take that seal out. And then, yeah, we'll be right back. All right. All right. Now we're getting the other half of that rear main seal out right there. I use a punch and a hammer. Gently tap on it. And when you can see right there, the other half is sticking out. Grab some needle nose and just slightly pull on it. And she'll come right out. Look at that. Alright, on to the next step. Alright, got the oil pan all cleaned off. Scrape the old gasket stuff off of it. I just used one of these razor scrapers. Next thing you need to do is get the other seal out. Just push that out too. Make sure you run that scraper over here. Make sure all that's cleaned off. Don't forget your old paper gasket here for the oil pump that needs to come off. Scrape that off with that same thing. Make sure everything is nice and clean. And then we'll be right back with you. Alright, now all cleaned up. I'm using the Permatex Ultra Slick engine assembly lube to put all this together. Don't be stingy on that, you know. Lube all your seals and all that stuff. Make sure you lube it all good up good. And we're getting ready to install the other seal here, so I'll be back in a second. Alright, make sure you get the seal started. I use a plastic trim tool to start pushing it in further. So just get it started in there and just start working it a little bit. And this will go right in. So I'll be right back. Alright, we got her all the way up in there. As you can tell, right there. Yeah. Now we can start putting the carrying bearing back on there and torque those bolts. So I'll get that all put in place and I'll be back with you. Alright, that's the seal, by the way, I'm using. BS40094 from Velcro for this Chrysler 360. I put a little bit of just regular black gasket maker on the ends right there as recommended. Make sure you got the seal, as you can tell right there. Wow, all of a sudden the lighting sucks. You gotta make sure that the seal is pointing the right direction, guys. So that lip has to point toward the engine. Alright, let's get her mounted and I'll be right back with you. Alright, got her mounted. Tighten them up finger tight first. Let the gasket maker set up for about 5 minutes. And then you run the torque wrench on that to 85 foot-pounds. And then that part is done, and then we can get going on the oil pump. All right, before mounting the pump, I just, customer provided me with some oil. I pour that in a cap
and then I throw it in there. And then you grab yourself an Allen or something like that. Just move it back and forth a little bit. That way there's a little bit of oil in the oil pump, so when you do start it up, it doesn't have to start out dry. And that way you prevent the oil pump for getting ruined because it ran dry for a couple seconds. So, all right, getting that done. I used a little bit of assembly lube to hold the paper gasket in place here, and we'll see you back under the truck when we get this thing mounted. All right. All right, now when you install the pump, you want to make damn sure you push this thing all the way up by hand. Tighten these bolts up by hand, and make sure you don't force this pump to go into place. You have to have it flush against all of this here, and then you tighten it up. And like I said, you better make damn sure that you hold that straight up against their flush by hand and tighten them up by hand before you don't force it with a ratchet or an impact to get it in place, because you will ruin that drive that runs the oil pump. So, and then you can do this job all over again. So just make sure you tighten that, you hold it, press it on there firmly, tighten up the bolts by hand, and then you can go from there. Next step would be the torque wrench. You set that thing at needs to be at 30. Needs to be at 30 foot-pounds. And you alternate between the two. I started at 20, and then between the two, and then I bumped it up to 25, and then I bumped it up to 30. But in the meantime, keep going back and forth between the two, so you equally tighten them up. So that way, you prevent anything from breaking or cracking. So, all right. Now it's getting time for the oil pan gasket and the oil pan itself. That's pretty self-explanatory. So please like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And we're going to catch you guys on the next one. All right. Peace out.